Good evening, good morning, or good day to everyone, depending on the place on earth you are. Just I saw in the chat section, hello from Colombia, South Africa, Italy, Mexico, and other Estonia and other countries. My name is Neros, and I'm host of today's webinar, Thinking About the Future. Yes, and today we will have Elena and Odette, and me talking about what's next and what we can say from today's point of view, what we know now. And our procedure is very common. You first, Elena and Odette present, and me, and then we'll have the question and answer section at the end of our webinar. As well, I would like to invite you to register on thoughtspreneur.com website, where this recording of this webinar will be placed, and we will have, there you will be able to find the recording of previous webinar, and there you will, in the future, will find other useful material. And so maybe without further ado, let's switch to the Yelena and Odette. I will unmute them, and I think you can, I'll make you the, yes, you can, I'll stop sharing my screen. You can start sharing yours.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Not yet. No, maybe I need to allow you to share.
Wait a second.
No.
Wait a second.
Oh, just a moment. I switched. Okay. Odette. Yep. More promote panelist. Yes, try sharing the screen again. Okay. Can you share your screen?
I believe so.
It should be the green button.
Yes. Nerius, can you, oh, just hold on a second. Okay, I don't understand why it doesn't, okay, now.
Yes.
Oh, thanks, great. So, sorry, everybody. Now, yes?
Yes, great.
So, hello, everybody. Well, as Nerius was saying, we have people nearly from all over the world. So just, well, when you started gathering, just you were writing hello, and and just you were saying from which country. So just it's Italy, Canada, Scotland, Lithuania, Colombia, Mexico, South Africa, Las Vegas, and there were more. So we are glad that you're here. We're glad that you are with us, and let's have some nice time together. Today is the second webinar that we have decided to conduct, discussing the situation with the businesses, or what is worrying the owners of the businesses, what is worrying the employees, what is worrying small businesses, especially in this time when sales go down and economy is I can't say that economy slows down, and why I can't say so, just you'll see in the slides that I want to share with you. But when right now, in this time when there are a lot of predictions in what is going to happen, what will be inevitable within probably in short term and also in long term. And well, in my chunk of today's webinar, I want to share with you my views on that. So mass media and especially social networks are full of predictions about the inevitable economic catastrophe. I fail to see how, but please remember again, that's my personal opinion and my personal views. Let's look logically at some industries that have nearly a full standstill now. Restaurants and cafes. I have seen predictions in social networks that over 90% of restaurants and cafes in big cities will not reopen after the end of coronavirus. I was truly surprised to see such statement. So the only thing that I would really want to ask is, really, this claim can be substantiated only if the future reality is like this. On one hand, people on their own initiative will stop eating out during their lunch breaks when they return to their offices, will not eat out in the evenings and weekends, and will not meet over a cup of coffee now and then. Then, yes, if there is no demand, supply cannot exist. Then, of course. Or if a restaurant or a cafe cannot pay their rent now or cannot pay the bank loan or both, and the landlord or the bank takes their kitchen and sitting area equipment. So the restaurants mostly operate on the rented premises. So which means the premise is not their own, the premise is not their own, but the equipment usually is their own. It's the kitchen equipment and the sitting equipment, the bar equipment. So, well, imagine that this is what is going to happen. A restaurant or a cafe cannot pay their rent, and the landlord takes the equipment, or the bank. The restaurant equipment is business specific. This means that the landlord or bank will have to start restaurant business in addition to their own businesses, which are also supposed to be in very bad shape after this, the coronavirus situation is over, which means in addition to all the actions that they will need to take to revive their own business, they will also want to have on their hands quite a big load of entering into the business that they do not know anything about, apart from being the clients in cafes or restaurants. Will they really want that? Even if yes, let's imagine that yes, they will want to start this line of business. So they get the equipment just for free because they took it as debt to cover the debt. And now they want to use an opportunity. Then they will rehire the personnel. The personnel is trained and experienced. Suppose they will want to sell the equipment, so they don't want this business. But again, the equipment is business specific. So where is the catastrophic danger? Because if we go back to the last point, that they will want to sell the equipment, there will be somebody who will want to buy this equipment. If somebody buys this equipment, they put the this is the investment, they put their money in. They will want to return the investment. The only way to return the investment on this equipment is to use it. To use it means to open a cafe or a restaurant. To open that, you need people to operate it. The people were already trained, they're experienced. It is much cheaper to bring in the people who know how to work in this business rather than to hire new people from scratch. But even if they will hire new people from scratch, then there will be the people who lost their employment somewhere else. You know, whichever way, I'm trying to look at the situation logically to try and substantiate the statement that over 90% of restaurants and cafes will not reopen, I cannot substantiate it. I cannot substantiate even 20%, to say nothing of 90%. Hotels. Hotels long ago stopped being a place where people have to stay because they're away from their home and need to spend a night somewhere inside, not to stay outside in the street. Hotels is the entertainment business. It's a chunk to break one's routine. So that's why they're weekend breaks, just there that they are long weekends. The hotels are promoting Sunday brunches, gathering of the whole family, all kind of events, the conferences, the weddings, and so on. So hotels are strongly associated with travel for fun and rest. People will stop wanting to break their routine? Unlikely. I cannot see that. Even if for some time people will be more cautious about traveling to other countries, it will only mean that they will start traveling inside their countries. I've spoken to a few owners of small hotels or inns or guest houses, and they actually say that what they see right now, locally here in Estonia, that what they see right now is that the bookings are piling up, that the people from Estonia want to come and spend the time, just hoping that the situation will change in July, by July, June, July, August, but they will want to go out and spend more time in local places, which means local tourism actually, I think, will be reviving or will be growing. Weddings, family celebrations, events will keep on happening as before. Moreover, everything that was cancelled or postponed because of quarantine will be conducted after the situation gets back to normal. Temporarily, hotels may face a significantly increased demand for their venues and services. It's the same question, where's the catastrophic danger? Theaters, cinemas, fitness rooms, beauty centers, hairdressers. After weeks or months of being deprived from the ability to get out, people will want to be out more than before. Actually, to say nothing about hairdressers and manicurists. You know, the hair doesn't stop growing, and a lot of women dye their hair, and men actually, I would think, want to cut their hair probably once a month, if not once 3 weeks. So for a period of time, men probably can buy this hair cutting machine and probably just cut hair themselves. Sort of, you know, to make it, you can make hair shorter. I doubt that women will go for that, which means, well, about hairdressers, beauty services, manicurists, the demand will surge after everything will go back to normal. But just, well, what about theaters and cinemas and fitness rooms? So if like people should feel threatened, those who work in these industries, then it's only if these businesses will close down. Let's say that these businesses will close down because they cannot pay their rent right now. Well, see the logic about restaurants and cafes. The equipment is business specific. No other industry can use it, which means no one will want it. And because people will want the services, then when I said no one will want it, just, well, I want to say that no other industry will want it just for the sake of having it, because the only way you can return your investment, or even if you have it, then you will want to use it because that's capacity, then just to put it in use. To put it in use means to open the facility, which means to rehire people, or to let people continue working, to continue making money, so business operates as usual. Some specific company can get bankrupt and get out of business, but not the industry. The employees will be rehired. They are trained and they have experience. As I said, it's cheaper and faster to return the investment if one rehires available people rather than trying to train new ones from scratch. So I failed to see how the entertainment, well-being business employees are heading into the promised catastrophe. Now, just let's say, okay, employees are sort of safe. What about small businesses owners? By the way, I cannot buy it that the big businesses and the owners of big businesses are going to be in trouble. I just, well, the companies were making profits year after year after year after year. There is certainly some buffer. Well, it's unpleasant that this year they cannot be planned profit. This is understandable. But even if a company goes out of business, the owners of big businesses, I would think, are sort of protected. So small business owners. By definition, small business owners are entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur, also by definition, sees and takes a business opportunity. They will see opportunities now. And there are a lot of opportunities now for any, actually, even of those industries that I have mentioned before, for restaurants, for cafes, for manicurists, and for fitness coaches. Right now, when people are sitting locked in, just in the quarantine, there are a lot of opportunities for small businesses, the specialists, to approach their clients and to offer them their services remotely. And just what I'm saying is not is not an imagination. Well, I personally spent 2 weeks in the quarantine, and right now, just Estonia is also in a sort of lockdown. And I think what services I would have liked to receive from these industries that I have mentioned before, and I'm actually surprised that I have not been contacted by these industries, by people from these industries with their offers, or at least asking me in which way they could have been helpful right now, because I would have told them which way. And I would be happy to pay for that, and I'm not the only one. As I said, now there are plenty of opportunities. So even if some small business owners, or even if many of small business owners will lose their businesses, they will start new ones in the new reality. If the situation does not return to the same as it used to be, it only means that it will be different. The situation will just be different. Small businesses will find their ways. So, and I want just to finish what I was saying by the post of Sanjeev Gupta on his LinkedIn timeline. So he writes, please think 10 times before posting about COVID-19. And it's, as he writes, an earnest appeal to the LinkedIn community. Please think 10 times before posting your analysis or solutions for COVID-19. It's a serious and delicate issue demanding utmost care. Please resist the urge to spin your opinions as analysis unless you have verified data to back up every conclusion or recommendation you make. Ideally, you should also be a subject matter expert, an epidemiologist, a healthcare professional, a supply chain professional, etc., depending on what you write. Please be extra careful in weighing disease control versus economic and business trade-offs. That's treading ethical issues. There will be many other opportunities to showcase your point of view, your skills, etc. COVID-19 is a life and death matter, not that opportunity. I fully agree with Sanjeev. Thank you, Sanjeev, for this post. So this is all what I wanted to say.
Yeah, Yelena, I think we had 2 comments or questions, and I think it would be good that you answer. I think you kind of answered during your presentation, but the comment from David, restaurants and cafes will be okay if people actually have money to spend. It seems many people will have little or nothing to spend for several months or worse. Do you see that this could be the case for industry to collapse?
No. And I will say why no. Those who were eating in restaurants and cafes were certainly not below the poverty level, we're not at the poverty level, and just by common sense, these people are used to having their preferred lifestyle. These people and these families certainly have money, and there will be maybe big money, maybe comfortable money. But if people can afford going to restaurants and cafes, which is probably one going out for the family, will cost triple, if not 4 times more or 5 times more than the dinner or lunch would have cost you at home, then I don't think that these families will have eaten up all their money savings that they had for just during these 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months. I think that the moment the situation will get back to normal, people will go out. We are speaking, those people who couldn't afford going to restaurants before, they cannot afford going to restaurants after. This is it. That's what logic says. So I don't think so, no.
I could agree a little bit that some restaurants and some cafes will get out of business because
Yes.
they were based a little bit on some tourists and so on, and some other restaurants probably will have to do some discounts and some promotions and so on. But quite a lot of people eat in the cafes and restaurants during lunch, not because they just because they have to, because they cannot go home to have lunch or dinner. So yes, the probably industry will shrink, maybe by 10 or 15 or even by 20%, but
Cannot,
not,
actually, it is difficult to know how much is going to go down. There may be a dent there, of course, but if
Nathalie speaking, by the way.
yeah,
Mhm.
but if there is an issue, we have to remember, just to continue what Elena said, when there was pretty high unemployment in the country, these industries did not collapse, which basically says if you are making the statistics, who are going for this entertainment and these activities are the people who can afford to go through that. And maybe there will be a delay until they will go back into a full swing. But the issue is about the amount will it cause such a disastrous situation? And this is a question mark. Yeah.
you know, even during the wartime, restaurants and cafes, some restaurants and cafes, they are still in business. And we are not in the war situation, okay. It's a serious situation, but I think still industry will survive.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Nelson, you said there were 2 comments, and the second comment was?
Then there was the comment similar to that, that the shortage of, it was from Jorge.
Mhm.
Also, the shortage of cash, even for people, employees, will reduce somehow substantially, thus reducing restaurant and cafes and most other demands except for food, housing, and health. How much? Who knows, but it will be significantly. But on the other hand, there was other comment from Michael Haynes. He said, governments are making provisions for people who are unemployed, so recovery will be faster.
Yes, I think so. life hasn't stopped. People haven't stopped getting money. Actually, well, just when I say getting money and not earning money, because either you said or just as it was said in the comment correctly, right now small businesses are using that financial relief, an opportunity for the financial relief that government offered. So they are either laying people off, or they are just putting people on half salaries, or they're starting to pay people minimum salary, and then the government tops it up, not to the full salary that people used to have, but to some amount. This is look just what is happening. Let's say in Estonia. Well, in Estonia, children get free lunches at school. All children, regardless of the situation, economic situation in their families, are fed in schools for free. So right now, because children are in the on distant learning at home, all these families are offered to pick up, or that it will be delivered to them, the package of dry food, which is macaroni and spaghetti and I don't know, rice and the tin soups and so on, that will be enough for the child to eat for a week time. It's actually for like for 6 lunches, but just when you look at the amount of what is offered, this is certainly more than for that. This is also the relief for the financial situation for the families. And that's not only in Estonia. I'm sure that either local governments or governments in other countries are taking steps to ensure that people right now, that children right now will be fed, and that the financial situation will not be disastrous. So I don't think that people are going just to use up really all their savings during these months. And also just what Odette said, there are industries that were growing up, and the restaurant industry was one of them. So they, as I said, the owners saw an opportunity. So right now, if it is going to shrink, they should see other opportunities to use their money, to use their investment, and to use their people. They will. Otherwise, how did all these restaurants open when they were growing like mushrooms after the rain? It's just because the owners saw an opportunity. There was an opportunity. Now that opportunity closed, but another opportunity opened. I do not understand why they should not be able to see another opportunity and use their people and use their equipment and use their knowledge for to provide people with work. Let's put it this way. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Alejandro commented that there are almost 40% of population in countries like Colombia that if they do not work each day, they will not eat that day. These confinement days are very hard for these people and will seriously damage their already lower quality of life. They will
Absolutely.
keep being earth condemns. Yes, I fully agree, but probably they were not the ones who were going to the restaurants before the crisis.
Restaurants, the fitness rooms, cinemas, hotels. This is correct. So they were, look, this is important to understand what I offered for the discussion. I said, let's look logically at the claims that are being made. Those people who couldn't afford using these services, these industries before, the fact that they will not be able to use them after, this fact is irrelevant to the claim that these industries will collapse, or that these industries will be in big danger, or that these industries are heading towards catastrophe. It is irrelevant. When a statement is made, we need to look at the statement, and we need to understand it is cause and effect, elementary cause and effect. And these people, yes, the concern is very, very sincere, that the people who needed to work every day to bring little money to their families, and this money will be used for very simple food and very simple elementary things of first necessity. These people are the ones that are going to suffer most right now.
Can I just say that what Elena just said is, I think it's very critical for our discussions in these webinars, because when we're talking about TOC, we are talking about basing all of our analysis, our development, to base it on logic and cause and effect. And when we are in such situation by which there are made statements which are not substantiated, and this is also following what is just written on the screen, what Sanjeev Gupta just said. I mean, just to say this is going to be like that, or this is not going to be like that, this is going to be painful and so on, it doesn't help, because we are dealing with our own companies, with our own lives, with our own clients, yes, that are concerned about their own business. And when they have now to take a decision, especially towards the future, it has to be based on some logic and substantiated. Yes, there will be cases, people will suffer, that's correct, and economies will have a suffer, yes, but still is the question, when we are listening and we are reading into what sort of the experts are trying to tell us, is it based really on and substantiated on logic?
Yeah, so I think more or less that's it from the comments. So let's move to
Very
this
good.
presentation.
Mhm.
Okay, hi everybody. Continuing on the same direction, I want to incorporate our long-standing thoughts about preparing for the future. And basically, I think as explicit as 1995, 96, we have been developing this concept of securing the future of the company, and the general statement of now and into the future, what are we going to do? So basically, when we listen to what is said now, some big companies have already announced profit warnings. Okay, so they indicate, especially to their investors, whatever you were expecting or whatever the analysts have predicted, this is not going to happen in Q1 and maybe later on in the years. When we're coming to smaller companies, they've probably gone through a drop in their sales, many of them, as we see in the statistics. Many governments provide short-term financial help, acknowledging the difficulties of this business are encountering. While taking actions, and this is following the previous webinars that we had, companies that are experiencing a drop in sales, they may have been taking actions to get more sales in the current situation. Still there's time that is released that due to the slowdown in activities, and this can be used in order to think about the future once the world shutdown will be over and the restriction will be removed, even though that it will be gradually. And definitely we are hearing every day about another country, another section that is getting out of it, gradually removing the restrictions. So generally, it is expected that the current situation will have a significant impact on the GDP. Yet, from looking on the history of the last 60 years, as per the data of the World Bank that is available, we can learn that the world economy recovered after every crisis, such as 1975, 82, 2001, the very big dip of 2008, 2009. And let's look a little bit on the graphs. This is the world GDP from 61 to 18. And we can see the dips, and we can see recovery. Sometimes recovery has been within a year. Sometimes it took, like in 91, it took a little bit longer, but it went up, and definitely after the 2009, it came back, and the level of 2018 was annual growth of 2.79, which basically says that the world economy is pretty robust in the sense that it is coming back to a stable level of yearly growth. And this graph is talking about a yearly growth compared year to year. Interesting to look and to see what's happening in China. And definitely from 1975, they haven't hit the zero, and they've been pretty stable, and they end up 2018 at 6.5, while the world was on 2.7. We have our friends from Colombia. So, by the way, for 2019, China is probably going to be 5.8. A little bit lower, but fundamentally better than the world. We have friends from Colombia, so I've added the graph of Colombia here, showing the fluctuation, and suffering very badly on 2001, and suffering less in 2009 and 2018 than the world. Of course, China is fundamentally better. Let's look on the US. And the US is very, very close to the behavior of the world situation. And there are several points by which the annual growth went below zero. But what is interesting is to see that there have been a recovery. And actually, when you're looking into this graph, you see many V shapes there. Okay, V shape means a real drop and a quick recovery. Even what is shown in 2009 is a V shape, and before that. The interesting, and I just saw that today, yesterday in Fortune, that there was a claim that the V shape is not going to happen. And this time, what does it mean? That is going to be, that's it, below zero, or heading towards the zero and stay for zero, no growth for 3, 4, 5 years? There's no history to sort of support this element. But I read into these articles and these statements of chief executive and so on, and they don't explain why it's not going to be a V shape. It just say, we are telling you guys it's not going to be a V shape. Where what Elena was saying, and I also believe that the people and businesses are more robust, and because there are plenty of entrepreneurs around, the business will come back. Okay, but that's a matter of history to tell us. So the next few weeks, months, maybe years. But even if we, not if, but can assume that the economy will cover, it still can be that for the specific company, it is not necessarily true. And companies should ask themselves, how well are we prepared for the recovery? And management may consider to examine sales portfolio, the expected trends after the crisis, and determine actions that should be taken. And here are some of the questions that should be discussed, like how the drop in sales of the company compared with the competitors. Is the company in a worse situation than the products and or the services should be checked against the product features and quality, price and the financial terms, and the level of service, what the issues that are determining their competitive edge within the market. If the company is in the same situation as the competitors, then the question should be there, will the demand return to be at the same level before the crisis? Are there indications of the change in the taste of the customer or their expectations? Sorry. And to address this thing, what I'm practically suggesting is to use the time to do a current reality study. You as TOC practitioners can offer companies to help with the analysis of the current situation and determining actions. All the work can be done remotely until the restriction of movement will be removed. And the starting point is the questionnaire. The question should be planned carefully to avoid waste of time of the prospect. The TOC practitioner should check every question using what is this data, what for is this data needed, what are the likely answers, what can be learned from the answers. Gathering the data should not take more than a day or two. And then based on the analysis of the data, the TOC practitioner can verify if any of the logistical solution or part of them can be used, or if there is a need for further analysis, analytical work for developing sales ideas. So what basically I'm trying to say is don't waste the time now. Any opportunity to look into the future to see what is likely that can happen when things will recover, and are you as a company or your prospect ready for this recovery? Thank you. Darius?
Yeah, I'm just reading the comments that there was the comment that the coronavirus is a good lesson that business should be crisis ready, not be ad hoc. Good opportunity for them to embrace entrepreneurship, TOC-preneurship. But it's not necessarily only the TOC-preneurship, but they should understand that crisis can happen and they have to be ready to revive. And as well, from Michael, the comment is that this virus has also become the new accelerator for disruptive technologies. For example, technologies facilitating collaboration, data analysis, 5G, medical testing, and of course, this may also affect how people use these services going forward, and they will adapt. Yeah, so probably I will switch to my presentation. Yes, just a moment. I will share my screen. Okay. So, well, how I look already and looking about the future, okay, we can say that we had a perfect storm. And the perfect is in the sense, not the nice sense of word perfect, but really what happened, maybe we're still having that storm, but the storm will be over. And we need to look at the situation that, yes, we had a storm. So, but life continues and, you know, the life doesn't stop. And during the storm and maybe sometime after the storm, there will be some damage, collateral damage, and we're sorry about that. But in general, the economy and the life will not stop. So, you know, I have some similar like the TOC-preneurship club in Lithuania, and we have discussions and quite a lot of entrepreneurs ask, they raise that question, when will life be back to normal? And in my opinion, yeah, of course, when you do the prediction, you have to be really careful. But in my opinion, if we talk about old normal, so probably life will be never back to old normal. But I mean the old normal, that were the things with the life what was in, let's say, December. Why? Because some perceptions really changed. But this change is happening every day. Okay, this perfect storm made some changes in our perception, in our reality, our values very quickly. But you know, life is changing every day. So, but if we say that we are talking about, and as Yelena said, new or different, so when we talk about different normal, I think the life will be back to different normal soon. But of course, it significantly depends on you as entrepreneurs. And just an example of what is the different normal, you know, as the country is on kind of lockdown and quarantine, schools are closed. So now every school in Lithuania moved to the distance learning or internet learning. And yes, the first week was really terrible. Systems were crashing, and you know, people, these children knew much better how to use that tool compared to the teachers and so on. But now it's a second or third week, and more or less all the cries and all the blames and discussions are fading out, and people are getting used to that. And probably, in my opinion, that the life of schools will never be old normal. I think schools will use the technology, they will use these distant learning tools and approach when the virus will be gone and this pandemic will be managed. Yeah. So, but that disruption created not, they destroyed some old things, but created new opportunities. That's really, again, it's back and depends on us, on entrepreneurs, on consultants, on active people to create a new normal reality, different, new normal reality. And again, when coming back to business and what to do in a company in order to continue, well, 5 focusing steps, let's check. The situation changed and do the reality check again. Where is your company's constraint? Yes. How you will exploit it, how you will subordinate, and when and how you will do the elevation of the constraint, and how you come back to the step number 1, or you do the other steps in order to keep the constraint in the same place, and you will be elevating in such a way that constraint doesn't move. But then again, so now situation is getting more stable. So let's use our tools we know. So again, we already started some work with some companies in Lithuania and even in the company on the board, on the supervisory board. So we started doing again reality check. First of all, so we check what is the cash situation and what is the cash flow, because we always have to keep that in mind, that cash flow is very important. What is the situation with employees? Have we lost somebody? Did we have to optimize some people? Because in the companies I'm on the supervisory board, we were lucky enough that in this segment of business, it's agriculture and fertilizers, they were not so much affected by this virus, but you need to check. And then you need to recheck your customers you're working with, or potential customers, and your offers. Because probably what was the significant need of your customers before, it could be that it changed. So maybe you need to readapt what you're selling, what you're offering, or maybe your packaging. Yes, maybe you were stressing before some, one things. Now maybe some other features of your offer are becoming more valuable for your clients. And talking about the restaurant business, if I remember right, for McDonald's, the 2008 and 2009 was one of the best years financially, because people still need to eat. They quite often they are not able to cook at home. So that shows that some habits, maybe they will be changed a little bit, but they will stay. So you need to recheck and do some quick mapping, like a matrix of your customers and offers. What was before and what could be important now. And check, is your decisive competitive edge still in place? As Odette said, are you falling and are you moving with the market? Or maybe you can change something, and when the economy is getting back, you can jump faster. If you remember the story Eli Goldratt told about this electronic components company, so some of your competitors probably will not survive that storm. So could be that you will have more room in the market, but if you're ready to take it. And again, please make sure that you are really improved and you're focused, and your order processing. I mean, when customer calls or place the order, you really respond and process quickly. And is your sales process ready, proactive? Like, as Yelena said, she was kind of ready. She had some money to spend, and she was ready to give it to somebody, but nobody wanted to take. Even now, for example, I'm thinking about changing the apartment, and I contacted. This is the crisis, I know, and really everybody in Lithuania is talking that the real estate market will go down. And I tried to contact several real estate agencies just to get some offers, or just start discussing that maybe they can help me find the apartment I want. And not all the real estate agencies were quick with responding to my contacts. And I'm a client who wants to spend money in this area. So again, recheck that things. Don't take for granted that it's working fine. No, typically it is not working fine. And then we check your internal processes, production or project or services. Is it really working smoothly? If you got the order and you promise deliver on time, are you delivering on time? Are you reliable? Is your quality good, and other things? So, okay, situation was really extraordinary, but now everybody is getting used to that uncertain situation, and this uncertainty becomes kind of certainty. So again, apply the same process to the new reality, create your new company, reinvent, and then you'll need to do some innovations on processes, maybe on products or services, but then again, just normal standard process which TOC has, you can start applying, and then you'll take then you'll use the opportunities, new opportunities. Okay, so basically that's my forecast. I'm not kind of forecasting what can happen, and because Yelena and Odette did more basing on logic and the experience. And I was thinking about what steps should be taken in order to get ready for the new reality. So are there any questions or comments more?
Nelius, yes, there were 3 questions on question and answer panel.
Yes, okay. The question was, in co-working sector, what happens in this moment?
Co-working, does it mean that they are the co-working spaces? The businesses that offer places that they rent them out, that they can be shared by different companies, so people can just rent for a few hours, or what is meant under co-working sector? Maritza? Or if anybody knows, so then maybe just you can will answer this.
Yeah, but co-working, it's just like, I think it's the same situation as with any other area, any other places where the attendance or entrance is blocked. So they are hit by some zero revenue situation. But then again, I think more or less people will be coming back. Okay, maybe that will require some changes, provide more hygiene and security and things like that, but people will start coming back to that. So I don't see any significant difference of co-working sector as any other sector.
What I want to add is, well, we need to remember that a solution is a solution to a problem. If there is a solution, then what was the problem? if co-working emerged as a solution, then it emerged as a solution to a specific problem. So go back to the problem, define it, and then ask yourself a question. Is this problem going to disappear? If this problem disappears, then co-working stops being a solution and will die. If this problem that co-working was the answer before, if this problem still stays, the solution will stay only if there is no better solution that has developed during this time when the companies are on lockdown. If the problem stays and if no other solution was developed and implemented, then nothing is going to happen with co-working sector. It will simply revive. But as Nerios said, most probably now, if all business centers are closed, then co-working cannot be operational.
So I think I don't see any significant difference for co-working as restaurants or areas like that. And the question was, how does this compare with the Great Depression of 1930s, in your opinion?
Well,
Sanjeev's
yeah.
answer applies.
Huh?
Sanjeev's answer applies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but generally speaking, the situation now is that in the media, especially in the managerial media, is now a lot of discussions and analysis and trying to say, is it a recession or depression? First of all, 90 years have passed through that. And we have, I refer to the history, the recorded history of the last 60 years. And the question is whether there are conditions that are developing that will bring back the 1930s. I'm not qualified to answer on this question, and as per Sanjeev's suggestion, which I completely agree with, we should, based on our analysis and comments about the logic and facts that we know that we are experts on. So I suggest to defer this question.
I would just comment that it's absolutely a different situation just because we have Facebook, media, and so on. And that creates much more emotion and reaction based on emotions rather than on facts. Even in the company I'm on the board, despite the facts that we had and we still have, that probably we are not affected significantly. It was quite a lot of paranoia and panic from some members of the board. And, you know, it's like you know, it's everything is lost. And it was really, you know, with a daily information or hourly information that so many people died there. It's a lockdown and, you know, supply chains are crashing down. But when you check the numbers, it's actually not as bad. At least for our business was not as bad, but still, I think we cannot compare crisis 90 years ago because it was not so many interconnection and interdependability. Governments were behaving absolutely differently, and emotions were not managed differently. So no, therefore I cannot compare and I cannot predict anything based on 30s. That's my opinion. The question was from Alejandro. We as a Pugi community must provide a political, economic, and social new structure that promotes protecting our natural resources and the willingness to develop win-win solutions. How can we collaborate for making through this ambitious objective?
Well, first of all, I want to say, my dear Alejandro, I don't think that the word a must provide is relevant and applicable to us as a PUGI community. I think that we have more to consider being very, very specific in answering more of the local places by which we are called for. And I don't think that we have been called in order to provide this solution or this new structure. Definitely government are not asking us to do that, and we can refer back to questions that have been discussed earlier on a Think Camp on Air and so on. We basically, even as a PUGI community, the thinking is, if there is a problem that we are asked to address and to come with a solution, this is where we will use all of our efforts and knowledge and tools in order to come up with a very strong solution. But I don't think that we should jump into an activity of trying to sort out global questions, even if it is on the country level. If the government have not asked us, please come into the think camp and help us with your views, what should be the new structure. We should find more practical use of our time and our thinking and our tools and our life, yes, as Elena says, in order to do something that will be meaningful and will be applicable, and we will be able to see its results.
Yeah, no, just I don't have anything to add, except for, well, what we do, the value of tier C solutions is that they are extremely practical and give immediate results. But for that, there should be a client on any level that is interested at least to uncover the opportunities that tier C as the approach, as the way of thinking, as a set of tools and logical algorithms can be used for a specific situation. So as long as we do not have such a client, until there is such a client, it makes no sense to build up hypothetical political, economic, and social new structures. That's waste of effort. And totally, actually, even unjustified. That's my opinion.
And just adding to Elena and that, I lived for almost 18 years in the Soviet environment, and we were then told that we, as the communist country, must bring the communism to, and this, as we call the sun of communism, yes, shiny sun of communism, even with the force and weapons, to the whole world. So when somebody says that I must do something for, it's, I feel a little bit itchy, because I rather help, and improve the world one company and at a time. And it could be one small company and at a time. So yeah, if there is no client who wants my help, it's not about the payment, but somebody really should be ready to listen. And my experience shows that in politics, logic they don't want to listen to logical arguments and so on. So I'm not really feeling that I must.
So, shall we round up?
And the last question was from Utkan. Economy is evolving to shared circular economy. Millennials will spend less. Global demand will be decreased. What will happen then? Just from my experience, because I have one millennial or two millennials at home, I will not say that they will spend less. At least I don't see that. Okay, they may be buying a little bit less things, but they want to have Apple computer, Apple phone, and the T-shirt, very ecological, circular, and so on, for like €100 per shirt, T-shirt. So yeah, the consumption will change, but the consumption is changing all the time. So new products will appear, some products will die, but
That's natural.
that's natural. I don't see that really spending is decreasing. It's still quite a lot of in the world, part of the world people, they will need to get to average level of living, which is what is considered now average. So I'm not sure that the demand will decrease. Yes, for some products it will decrease, but some products will grow. So it's natural. So yes.
Here, just one last thing. You know, as a business, as a company, as a sales director, as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, if you do not have the answer to your own question, why people, businesses should buy my product, if you do not have this answer, then they, the potential clients, don't have this answer. For sure they don't have this answer. Then I will say they shouldn't and they wouldn't. If you do not know why they should buy, then you should look for another opportunity of another product or another service that you will know why people will buy. As simple as that.
Yeah, but again, we have so many tools in TOC to answer those questions.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you everyone for your comments.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Participation, and look for information about our next upcoming webinars. Thank you, and have a nice virtual and safe Easter for those who are celebrating yes. Easter. And Odette, happy Passover.
Thank you very much.
Okay, stay well and
keep safe.
Yes.